make it.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you for reminding me. I will hit record just so everyone is aware that the meeting is being recorded. Um, and yeah, since it is a oh, and someone did point out people who joined after a post in the chat can't see the previous entries, but I'll send out the chat to everybody later. So you should be able to see the whole thing. And why don't we go ahead and get started? I'll ask everyone to, first of all, welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for coming to the Green Team on this winter Monday night. And we have a packed agenda. I'm going to ask everyone to keep your presentations to 10 minutes. I know that's barely enough to, touch on the complicated issues that some of us are talking about, but this is really just a place to kind of pass on some info and be there as a resource for follow-up and further information. So again, put your name, neighborhood, and environmental hero in the chat. The agenda is at the top of the chat, and we will go ahead and get started. Just remind everyone to mute yourself if you're not talking, please. And we will go ahead and get started with Cassie Holmes from East Phillips.
Uju Niman Makwa Ikwe Indigenous Cause Makwa and Odam. So my name is Cassandra Holmes. Hello, my native name is Four Bears Woman, and I'm from the Bears Clan. I'm a longtime resident at Little Earth of United Tribes, which is a one-of-a-kind housing in the country. It's the only Indian preference housing in an urban area. We represent over 38 different tribes. We have 212 units and between 800 to like 1,500 people on property, depending on the year. And half of those are children, minor children. So just to give you that idea of all the kids in just that area, not even including all of East Phillips, what I'm here to talk about is there is a project that the community had got together. A lot of people in the community got together and wanted to have green drops, green training, indoor aquaponics, a low end and high end. Even got some money in our community of 3,000 that was evened out in within our community because we had this bigger plan. We had a bigger plan to buy the Roof Depot site right there on Hiawatha, closer to 28th there between Hiawatha and Longfellow. So we had this big plan to have all this green job, green training, green education, low income housing. And we're planning it and got this other money through the state, through Clark, and I myself through Little Earth. We got what we did with some of that money, 30,000, was we hired our youth from ages 6 to 17 to work on the Little Earth farm, and they made money, and we took them school shopping before school started. We did that for 2 years. So our youth were learning how to farm, how to grow food, learn about it, had elders in there teaching our kids about some of the indigenous and stories behind food. That was to be a stepping stone to our bigger idea that the community had for that Roof Depot site, where we had planned, like I said, the housing. There was 28 2-bedroom low income housing with their own gardens, low end, high end aquaponics, a bike shop, like a cafe that we wanted our youth in the community to run and people in the community to be able to come in and sell their crafts, their artwork, whatever it was, just a big community space. And the city had threatened eminent domain, got that space, paid more money than what we were being asked to pay as a community. So, sorry, trying to do this just talking. Public Works got the space, and their plan for that space was to bring in more diesel trucks into our community, to build a 3-story, I believe a 300 or 400 car parking space, They wanted to have something called the sandlot, that they would train their employees on how to work with diesel ran equipment, and it was actually indoors, so that was scary, but they told us not to worry because it would be filtered out so their employees wouldn't be hurt, but that would hurt us in the community. um, they came in with this plan after we had shared with the city council and a lot of other people of this map that Karen Clark has that shows that East Phillips, and then a part of Northside are some of the highest polluted communities in the county. We have some of the highest rates of asthma. We are also part of the arsenic triangle. We have traffic that ranges from that goes as high as 100,000 vehicles through our community daily. So sorry if I'm not getting it all out to you guys. I have 10 minutes, so I'm trying to zoom it in there. So the reason why I'm part of it is because I myself lost a child to a heart condition that he did not have when he was born, just came when he was 14. Um, the doctors don't know if it was hereditary or something that just attacked his heart. I have a neighbor whose daughter grew up on the same side of Little Earth as my son, who at 21 died from a heart condition out of nowhere, was not born with it. We lost somebody at the Wall of Forgotten Natives to an asthma attack, not an overdose, an asthma attack. We have another community member whose 40-year-old child had to undergo open heart surgery and never had a heart condition. So I'm just saying, I see a lot of my community members, a lot of the youth there, and our elders who have some serious health conditions, all very similar. East Phillips also has a law called the Clark-Berglund law that talks about a cumulative pollution, like Smith Foundry and bituminous roadways and any other kind of businesses or anything that want to come in that put out pollution, that they have to follow an environmental justice law. So Public Works feels they don't need to follow that law. They feel like they're not going to leave any kind of bad footprint in our community, even though we've proven to them that they will over and over again. Right now, we are in a lawsuit with the city for not following the law, the state law, the Clark-Berglund law, and doing like a environmental assessment. Um, an environmental assessment like worksheet. Um, the community is still very much fighting for it. We have a lot of support. Trying to think, if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them, but I know that this was quick and I only have 10 minutes, so I hope I was able to kind of put it out there what we're doing with the Rift Depot site in East Phillips.
Cassie, I just wrote in the chat that we could send out the presentation to people if they want to see the photos and everything.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, and maybe now would be a great time for people to ask questions.
So Cassandra, I'm excited that many neighborhoods, including Tangletown, have been talking with their city council reps about the roof depot. And I was just talking to Robin Garwood with Cam Gordon's office a little while ago. And it sounds like some of the city council members are looking at trying to how to be flexible. And I'm wondering whether the previous proposal that East Phillips had of maybe trying to work with 3 or 4 acres of the site and letting the public works use the other, whatever, 15 acres, is that still on the table? Or are you guys trying to get the entire use of the entire acreage? Oops, it looks like she's frozen up.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now.
Sorry, I think I froze. Sorry, I think I froze. I'm sorry I missed your question. You talked about a previous proposal?
Well, it was just like, is the East Phillips right now trying to work through the lawsuit and negotiating to get the entire 22 acres for neighborhood use, or to use 4 of the acres for the indoor urban farm and let the public works use the other, whatever 15 acres.
So Public Works already has a piece of that property that is like closer to 26 between Hiawatha and Longfellow. So we'd already be connected. I believe for me, from what I know is we are suing because if we want all of it. I mean, we want the whole, the whole space that we initially wanted it. In the past, we have actually we have compromised from 3 acres to 2 acres, and then they were just like, you know what, you're gonna get either under 1 acre, and then it was like nothing. So we've compromised so much, and we've just said, if we're gonna have to sue and we got to fight, we might as well go for the whole thing. And I think it's just the 7 acres, about 7 acres is what we were that we're asking for and fighting for, because they already have like close to 6 or 7 acres right next to us. I know there's a misunderstanding that with Public Works, Waterworks coming in and buying that space, is that people, and I've had council members asking straight up, do you want clean water or clean air? That should never be a question to anybody. And that lets me know that people aren't fully understanding the project from Public Works, our Waterworks, is because they're not going to change our water. Nothing different is going to happen with our water. They just want to centralize, and it will be polluting us a hell of a lot more than what we already are.
Hey, Cassie, we have just like 30 seconds left.
Okay.
There are some links in the agenda to information and calls to action there. I put some in the chat. Do you want to, what is the best way for people to kind of get questions answered? And I can send that out in the chat and in the minutes.
Yeah, people can email me at Cassandra_TRIDANI29 That's Cassandra_Tridani@yahoo.com. And I just want to say thank you all for your time.
Cassie, I just put it in the chat. This deserves, its whole own event. So I really appreciate you coming on and giving us this bit of information, and people have some ways to follow up now, and hopefully.
Miigwech for listening and having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks, Cassie.
Sorry, I have to run.
Thanks for being.
Miigwech, Cassie.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. And next up we have Stacy Miller from the city of Minneapolis. And I'll let her introduce herself and what she will be discussing tonight about the integrated resource plan for Xcel Energy. And Stacy, let me know if you want me to share your presentation or you want to do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. That sounds good. And hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. You guys are working on some great stuff. And I just want to take a few minutes to highlight what the city of Minneapolis is working on with the integrated resource plan that Xcel has. That's their 15-year plan that the state has to review and either approve or modify. And Xcel has published their plan along with an updated plan after the first one was considered incomplete by the state. The city's interest in this is that this is city infrastructure that we're talking about, how an electric utility is going to meet the needs of its customers. And in our case, of course, that means our residents and our businesses. And so we have some pretty strong feelings about that, including wanting to see more clean generation and more local generation opportunities. So you can go ahead and advance this slide. One thing that's important to note is that the PUC has to go by what's on the public record. So they have to only make decisions about Excel's plan based on what people say in writing and what they say in any public comment opportunity. Right now, comments are due on Excel's IRP on January 15th. And Minneapolis is looking at this through an equity lens, where we view this as an opportunity for improved equity and inclusion, more affordable bills through electrification and local generation, and more energy efficiency. We also see an opportunity to accelerate renewables by reducing the, accelerating when the coal plants close. Right now, there are 2 remaining coal plants in operation, and Excel doesn't plan to close them until 2030. And we feel like they're likely uneconomic to operate. So we'd like to see them close sooner, and that would introduce an opportunity for more renewable energy. Equity, inclusion, diversity are also reflected in local workforce opportunities. So if we're building a system, if Excel builds a system whereby we can interconnect our rooftop solar to that system, and we can generate energy within our communities, that creates local workforce opportunities. And right now we're in negotiations with Excel, just talking about opportunities to bring training into Minneapolis. We also are hoping that other people will weigh in. And this is where you all come in. You all have your own vision of what the grid could be and the role it plays in climate change. It's important that the PUC hear from people like you, organizations, individuals, other cities. All of this matters because, like I said, the PUC has to go by the public record. They can't just do what they think is best. And so your voice is really important. We're also, as the slide mentions, we consider energy efficiency, demand response, demand side management, and energy storage, local opportunities as well, that are really important for our residents. On the last page is my contact information, so that if anyone wants to learn more about what Excel has proposed or what the city plans to recommend, I'd be happy to talk to any of you, and you can contact me by voicemail or email. And I don't know, Kyle, if there's time for questions, I'm open to
Yeah,
that.
we have about 5 minutes for questions. Sorry, I'm just pulling all my right screens back up on my double monitor here.
I have a question. Stacy, is there, when they talk about storage, what's the conversation around that? What does that mean, storage? I mean, I know there's a problem trying to figure out storing solar unless you have the big batteries and stuff like that, but what are they even talking about right now in terms of energy storage?
Well, the term of this plan for Excel is 15 years. And while energy storage is still pretty expensive, we believe in the time frame of this plan, the energy storage will be competitive, especially when coupled with solar. And as more and more renewable energy is integrated, energy storage should have a place.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I don't even know how they actually store it right now. I do know that the solar is still being worked out and the batteries, the Tesla batteries, and that's the one big problem that they're still trying to tackle is mass storage of renewables that are collectible, in dark times and in winter times. So I doubt that there's any kind of plan right now with the city other than to be open what's developed. But when they talk about coal and natural gas, honestly, I don't even know how they do it right now. They have coal on, they have natural gas on hold, and I don't even know how the system works. And Lee, I know you might know the answer to that as well.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure, but right now we're only at 30% renewables for Excel's system. And the state has done a couple of studies that show that without any energy storage, we can go up to 50%. So we want to really think ahead, years ahead, and be ready for a 50+%. Certainly within the time frame of this Excel plan. Like I mentioned, it's 15 years, so it goes to 2035. And by that time, Excel's own goals want to have us as 100% carbon free.
Yeah.
John, this is Fred. I think coal and other forms are pretty much produced on demand. So there isn't really that much need for storage for those things. They can, from my understanding, they can crank those things up or tamp them down based on the demand. And that's obviously more difficult for renewables. But as Stacy said, we're nowhere near needing a whole lot of storage capacity right now from what I know.
Yeah, that helps a lot, Fred. Thanks.
Thank you, Fred.
Answers my question too. Thanks, Stacy.
Right, Stacy.
I have a question. Sorry.
And then there's a question from the chat too, but go ahead, Christelle.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and you can ask that one first.
Through what forums is Excel obtaining public comments?
I missed that, sorry. Through what forms? Yes, you can submit comments in writing to the Public Utilities Commission on or before January 15th at this point. And the Public Utilities Commission website has emails and can explain how to do that. Or if you'd rather, you can just contact me and we could talk through it as well. Oh, I see there's a question about solar rewards too.
Well, go ahead, Christelle.
I believe I had this discussion with you before a while back and I forgot the answer to this question, but I know that Xcel Energy every so often has a contract that they sign to be the sole provider for electricity for the city of Minneapolis. When is that coming due again, or did it just happen recently?
I think that it comes due in, according to my boss, 2021 perhaps. It's
Okay.
around the corner. Municipalization is a really heavy lift. It's one though that we keep in mind, to the extent where our goals diverge from the utilities, we have to keep it in mind.
Okay.
City of Boulder tried this and they got further down the road than we did. And just this November during a voter referendum, they decided to stay with Excel and give them a chance because it is expensive and hard. So right now we're we're just focusing on working with Excel and the state, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
So Stacy, we have about 10 seconds left, and I know that there are more questions. So people can ask by emailing you, but I also there are a bunch of organizations that, there are a bunch of organizations that are doing outreach and education on how people can participate in this process, and hopefully making it accessible and not super dry, because these things can be just complicated and feel kind of daunting. But I put a form link in the chat. If you want to get more information about educational events, outreach, advocacy actions you can take, you can certainly fill that out. You can email Stacy as well to get any of your questions asked. Because again, I know we could go on about this for the next, hour and a half, I'm sure. So we will keep going, but know that there are plenty of resources out there to get more questions answered.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy, so much for being here. We appreciate all that you do.
I'm wondering if before Stacy goes, she could just, if she has more firsthand knowledge about the city budget and how the franchise fee money is going to keep going into programs and things, or maybe she doesn't have that.
I don't have that. I'm sorry, Sean.
Okay.
And I saw you have other questions I'll follow up with you on.
Yeah. All right.
All right. And next up, Sean Gashevsky from Resilient Cities Coalition will be talking about some of the sustainability budget updates. And again, we've got 10 minutes and you'll be able to get in touch with Sean with further policy. So take it away, Sean.
Okay, well, we got a bit of an update from both Robin Garwood and Kim Havey. And Kim,
And Sean, I'm going to give you a quick reminder to just make sure people know what you're referring to and what you're talking about. Pretend like nobody ever heard of anything you're talking about. Otherwise, it'll go right over. I know it'll go right over my head. So, yeah.
Okay, so basically with Stacy Miller and others are working with Kim Havey and the Sustainability Office, and they're helping to implement the city's climate action plan. And part of their budget is through the general fund, and part of their budget is from the franchise fee increase that they did several years back of a 50, half a percentage increase. So the city had been raising, maybe around 20 million a year from the franchise fee, and they increased it by a little bit to bring in like another 3 million a year. So we wanted to make sure that they're prioritizing using that franchise fee increase for all their different programs of business incentives, and they're also using it for a green reconstruction in the areas that got hit by the uprising with reconstructing buildings on Lake Street and things. And so, anyway, Kim Havey said that, there's about a 20% budget cut that a lot of agencies are getting. They got a one-time cut of one-time money, but then it was made up for by ongoing money that they feel is more stable. So he was happy about that. Robin Garwood's concern was that if the franchise fee is bringing in less money because of the less people using energy right now, the energy program shouldn't take all the hit. It should come equally from the entire franchise fee revenue, not just from a half-cent increase. Does anybody else have any more? So far right now, it doesn't sound like Kim Havey is that worried about the sustainability department budget. But has anybody else heard about any other concerns about the sustainability area getting a bigger cut than any other area? I see Lee put in the chat that the city council passed the Rebuild Resilient Budget Amendment last week. And then I did get a text from earlier today from Kim Havey, and so I will just paste into the chat box what he said. The final budget hearing, I think tomorrow, isn't it? I think it's December 8th is the final budget hearing. So
it's Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday, yep.
I think it's been rescheduled to 4 p.m. rather than 6:05 which it was initially scheduled for.
Mhm.
Eh,
And
Just
then I don't
looking
know if
from-
anybody else, like Alice or anybody, was listening to the previous budget hearing that went until midnight. Did anybody speak in favor of climate investments, or was it mostly people talking about the police budget? Anyway, 90% of all the comments in the previous hearing were on the police budget, but so anyway, there's a form that you guys can make, and I will I'll put in the chat box the little form where you can put in your comments. And I also have a link for the comments I sent in too.
Right, was that it, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, awesome. And we will, anybody have any questions? And Sean, I'm going to assume that the best way to give any input on the city budget is just emailing, calling your city council person and the mayor.
You can email your city council member and the mayor. And then this is the budget comment form. And then I'm going to give you the mayor's aide who's working on the budget negotiations. So that if you wanted to, the email directly the mayor's aide, that you could get a hold of Peter, which would be a good way to get a hold of him in addition to putting it in the chat for the whatever the comment form.
All right. Well, if no one has any other questions about this at the moment, again, it's one of those things that can seem daunting, and understanding the city budget and how it all works can seem daunting, but you don't have to know it inside out to say, call the mayor and your city council person and say, I want a focus on sustainability in this budget. I don't, for these reasons, and you can make it your personal reason. And I think that all adds up.
Oh, Sean, do you have a link to your comments that you're willing to
Well,
share?
I'm going to give you guys a link.
Mhm.
And then the budget coordinator guy from the mayor's office is this guy here. If you wanted to try to email him directly, in addition, using that comment form. And I'm going to give you a link for my budget comments too.
I'm going to make sure these all get in the minutes as well that we'll send out to people. Okay. Well, thank you, Sean, for that update. And we can hop right into Alice Madden from Community Power and your presentation on inclusive financing, which if you love energy efficiency, which we all should, you're going to love inclusive financing. So take it away, Alice.
Thanks, Kyle. Just maybe a show of hands. I have a little review just for folks who aren't familiar with this tool, but maybe just a little show of the emoji thumb or your actual a wave or something. If you've heard of this tool before, inclusive financing. See a few, okay. Okay, and then I don't know, for everyone who's off video, I'm not sure. I'll definitely do the review then. Okay, so a few months ago, oops, what is this? Hold on, I think I shared the wrong screen here. All right, so a few months ago, we talked a little bit about this tool, which is called inclusive financing, also called tariff-based on-bill financing or pay-as-you-save. And the basic overview of this is it's a way to do energy efficiency, but you can also do solar with this, where instead of taking out a personal loan or any kind of other thing that is attached to you as a customer, you just sign up for better insulation, solar. The utility adds a monthly charge to your bill, but the savings that you get from doing those improvements actually exceed the charge. So you start immediately saving money month one. There's no credit checks. You do not have to be an owner of the building, though obviously the owner has to sign off on it. And there's no upfront money, no credit checks. So this is a pretty big game changer in the sense that it broadens access to energy efficiency because the incentives are right. You're immediately saving money, and it's not something that's going to follow you if you're a renter once you move to another property, or if you're a homeowner who then sells your property, that's not a loan that follows you. It just stays with the property. As I mentioned, it's versatile, so you can talk about this using this tool for energy efficiency, but also with renewables. That's located on site. And then the biggest thing about this, besides it just being a cool tool to do the things that we need to be doing, is that we're really not going to meet our goals if we don't do something differently than what we're doing now. This is just a snapshot of the City of Minneapolis's goals to weatherize or insulate 75% of properties by 2025, which, as you know, is in 4 years. And we're only doing less than 1% of the housing stock per year. And this is distinctly drawn upon lines of household income, and because of the history of racism in this country, through like financial racism or economic racism. That is also correlated with race of who has access to these programs. And then when you just take a look at the actual outcomes of when you use an inclusive financing tool versus the way that we're doing most of our energy efficiency now through debt-based financing, you can see that you increase how many people are actually eligible by a significant amount, how many people say yes to the offer. So the gray here is the debt version of energy efficiency financing. The blue is inclusive financing. So you're doubling how many people are eligible. You are multiplying by a factor of 5 how many people say yes to the offer because they're immediately saving money. And the default rate, the rate at which people aren't able to pay back these, like the money that was invested by the third party capital, drops to a negligible amount. And it's even from there hard to tell if that's just the bill was too high anyway, because the end result to the customer is that their bills are lower. And then over here on the deal size, that's just showing how much more investment in a given household that there is because the deal is so much different for people. So people are saying, oh, instead of doing $3,000 worth of work on this unit, I now feel comfortable doing $6,500 worth of work to really do a deeper level of energy retrofit in this home. And so just to expand on this, like debt-based financing versus this inclusive financing approach, is that debt and credit are the foundational problems to access, because so many of us are renters, because credit checks have such a racialized and also are just a pretty confounding way of deciding who should get investment or not. I remember sitting down with a banker when I was still banking at Wells Fargo, and the banker across from me said he was struggling with his own credit. So it doesn't. It's not a good way of measuring how fast we should act on climate, for example, or who should be able to save money on their energy bills. And then lastly, like there's this, I think another question to grapple with here, which is, can we wait for low-income energy assistance or the weatherization assistance programs that are run through the federal government or through the state? Can we wait for those to be adequately funded at the level that they need to be funded in? Can we wait for completely free programs for all of us? And the level of polarization at those two levels of government are immense. Trump's administration added Social Security number requirements. So now only households that really have documentation of quote unquote properly immigrated status are really eligible to receive benefits. And that includes every single member of your household has to declare their Social Security number. And the current assistance is only really reaching 27% of folks right now. And as you may well be familiar with, if you get your power shut off in the middle, if you get your power shut off, that's a slippery slope towards eviction and destabilization of the household's financial situation. So that's just sort of a recap of what inclusive financing is. I want to spend the rest of the time just briefly here updating folks on where we're at in Minnesota. So after multiple years of trying to bring this idea to Minnesota, and I didn't include the graphic of where this has been adopted in the rest of the country, but there's a growing number of states and municipalities that have adopted this program. And so the idea was over the last few years to bring this to Minnesota. The city has been an amazing champion to bring this forward in front of the PUC, and begrudgingly Centerpoint has accepted this to be considered in front of the PUC this year. So after a lively set of public hearings, this was sort of the breakdown of comments and support. So it was widely supported among members of the public. Shout out to the folks on this call who submitted their comments, Minneapolis Climate Action. I think Nokomis East Neighborhood Association, Neighborhood Hub, and then numerous other community organizations like Inquilinos Unidos and Native Son also signed on jointly with Community Power in support of this. And people called in from all over the metro and even exurban and rural areas in support of this. So on November 20th, the administrative law judge brought forward his recommendation based on what was in the record. And he recommended, said that the PUC does have legal authority to consider this, which was a kind of a sidebar conversation that a lot of commenters from the state agencies were having, is feeling worried about legal implications. But Judge Littman did say that this is entirely fine for the PUC to consider, and they should approve the pilot program for inclusive financing. And additionally, for folks who participated in the video testimony, Judge Littman gave a glowing review of how useful that was to expand transparency and accessibility and breadth of participation. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who gave that a shot, because I think we have a really good precedent now to ask for that in the future, to say, hey, we can't all sit through multiple hours of WebEx conferencing every time the state wants to make a decision that dramatically impacts our lives. We need to be able to record a testimony on our own time, submit it, and for you to see and hear us during these decisions. So here's just some clips. This will be in the notes, I think, for people to come and revisit this, but this is just highlights of the actual recommendation from the ALJ. And then just a quick, this is the last slide here, for the timeline for the remainder of this docket. This was bundled with the rate increase, and thankfully I'm happy to report that the administrative law judge also recommended to adopt the basically agreement among parties that Centerpoint should not get an increase to the monthly fee to everyone on their Centerpoint bills, and they should get a lower increase per unit of energy that they sell. So we're somewhere in here on the timeline, and in January there may be a hearing. It won't be a public hearing, I'm guessing, but it will just be sort of a gathering of the parties at the PUC. And then sometime around February 1st, the PUC is likely to make a decision about what to do around inclusive financing and the rate hike that Centerpoint requested. So that's all I have. I hope that was within 10 minutes and maybe time for like 1 minute of questions, but.
Alice, this is John Bender, could you look at the question I think Stacy put in there? That's the question I have.
Let's see.
How does Excel Solar Rewards fit into this?
Oh,
It's a separate topic.
Yeah, they're different.
yeah, I think that's separate. Yeah, that's about the IRP.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was confusing that, because I get confused when I got something in the mail about, or email about what you're talking about. And thank you so much for that great explanation and how far you've come with it. I was wondering how I fit into it, because I have solar on my house that I paid for. And I wanted to be part of that, but not to get any benefit for me. I wondered if it could actually contribute to the system in some way. And so I didn't even know how to answer that. So I kind of just sat there for a while, and I don't know if you can answer. Is there any way to be part of that as a contributor, not for any breaks financially? It's not my concern with my house, but because I get paid for my solar. I sell back to Excel. So they pay me for that, a certain little bit every month. But I want to know if, is there any way I can be part of that and still help the system work on your behalf?
Yeah, so the stage, I think if I'm understanding your question correctly about if you could add solar through inclusive financing to add more energy to the grid. Right now, the stage that this pilot program is in, it would just be energy efficiency. So you could totally participate by doing energy efficiency at your household and lower your overall usage and still keep the total amount of solar that you're contributing and actually sell back more because you're using less energy. However, the solar aspect of those things is kind of a next stage of everything, where we test the theory in Minnesota with inclusive financing, have a really successful first program, and then we come back to the PUC and say, we want to do this for solar as well.
Okay.
Alice, are there any calls to action right now? And I know Sean asked if the POC approves it, we will need the support of neighborhoods and green teams to help with outreach and spread the word. That was Lee.
Yeah.
Sorry. And when can the city start implementing pay as you save if they approve it? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I think because it's such a wonky topic, I think really the call to action is just to like know that this is continuing and to revisit this topic, just so people keep it fresh in their minds, because it's wonky enough that in order to hit the ground running, we need a lot of people who are excited about this and know what it is.
And again,
that's
you're
really
super, well versed in it to know that it's, I mean, it's one of my favorite advocacy pieces to promote, just because it's such a equity tool, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But if any, I put your website in the chat, and so people can definitely keep up with you there and follow, because you guys are kind of the inclusive financing organization, like Community Power is. I mean, it's one of the things you do. But
we're shepherding people, but yeah, we've been so glad to have so much support through this whole thing. So we'll definitely make a point to kind of check back in with everybody when there's actually a decision, and then if there's an unfavorable decision, I think if there's a favorable decision, I think we could see this rolling out sometime even within the year. They have to obviously select a program implementer, all of those things, get people trained up to do this. If it's an unfavorable one, I think the next stage is, where can we get this approved? And I think there's some really exciting conversations that have to do with kicking out monopoly utilities in general, about what can the city's role be in using its water billing utility to start to do really innovative things when they're getting roadblocks from gas and electric. So.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to move on. If anybody has any other questions.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Can I suggest that we have a conversation in the future just about how the neighborhood groups that are participating with Minneapolis Green Teams are seeing their ability to maintain outreach capacity, so that, like, if all the neighborhoods lose funding and they don't have any staff and nobody can do any outreach, how would the neighborhoods even tell people about being able to participate with Pay As You Save? So we sometimes should talk more about how our neighborhoods going to be able to maintain capacity on things like the home inspections and following up with zero interest loans and Pay As You Save. Does that sound like a good idea, people?
Yeah, but we can certainly convene that as another meeting, and certainly look at how we can, get the city to strengthen neighborhoods so that we can do this outreach. Yeah, for sure. But all right, thank you so much, Alice and Lee, for all your work on this and for partnering with everybody. And next we will move to Kelly Kish, and she has a special guest to introduce. And Kelly, did you have any, or Adriana, if you have any links, maybe I'll share the survey that you guys put out today I can share that in the chat, but I'll let you take it away and let me know if you have anything else you want to share.
All right. So hi, Kelly Kish with Solid Waste and Recycling with the city here. Happy to introduce all of you to Adriana Salce. She is a Minnesota Green Corps member, which is an AmeriCorps program, who will be with our office for the next several months through about midsummer this coming year. Going to be helping us with all sorts of outreach and education, both for the residential side of things. And then even more exciting is that she's going to help start evaluating some new zero waste strategies for the commercial and multifamily sectors, and all sorts of other fun stuff. So right now, one of the things that we are working on is developing our 2021 communications plan, outreach and education. And we're going to be really trying to tie the impact of COVID and how people have, we assume, been buying less and getting by with more in their homes, becoming a bit more in tune with their waste stream, to try and really link the upfront manufacturing costs of items to the way that people choose to buy things. So with that, I'll pass it over to Adriana to talk a little bit about the survey that Kyle just posted in the chat box, and share some other tips and tricks for the holidays with you guys.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's nice to meet you and talk to you all tonight. Yeah, so going off what Kelly said on the waste behavior survey, we posted this about 2 weeks ago for neighborhood groups to reach out to through their newsletters to residents, trying to understand how COVID has affected the way we purchase, reuse, and the things that we've noticed in our waste stream since we've all been in our homes a bit more than we normally have been. So we've got about 2 weeks left on that survey, and it'd be great to get more responses from the community residents. So if you all could help us promote the survey, that'd be great. We're planning to use this, as Kelly mentioned, for 2021 educational materials and outreach efforts. So that would be great. So then a little bit on holiday tips and tricks. You know, they look a little different this year with COVID. Less people, you know, more video chatting. So, you know, the plans are going to look a little different, but main goal that we want to promote to everyone and to residents is waste reduction. So kind of trying to tie that, the environmental impacts, the manufacturing costs of what we buy, and how that impacts how we should purchase and hopefully waste less. I've got a couple categories. So food, you know, it's really important to plan the meals ahead of time and make a shopping list. So that way, you know, when we go to the grocery store, it's pretty easy when you're hungry to just pick up a lot of stuff that we may not need and then may end up wasting, because in the US, about 40% of food is wasted. So we want to try and reduce that a lot, you know, and protect the resources that go into making our food and our items, all of the land, energy, water, etc. So making a shop list is important and not overestimating portion sizes. I know the holiday is going to look different, less people. So, you know, making sure not to make the same amount of food, because, you know, we don't want to waste that, and leftovers can get boring, you know, if you've got too much of them. But then going off that, making sure that we eat the leftovers. There's some cool websites, Love Food, Hate Waste, that give some interesting recipes for how to use up leftovers and creative ways that hopefully aren't just like turkey sandwiches or ham sandwiches. Then talking about decorations, you know, it's really important to save those resources from and trying to reduce the excess amount of things that we're buying. So buying secondhand is super important and reusing. And you can do that on Nextdoor, Facebook Buy Nothing groups, going to a thrift store. You know, all of these resources are still available during COVID, and they're a great way to reduce waste, as well as, you know, using reusable alternatives for like common things such as like not using a plastic table cover or like plastic utensils or paper plates, you know, using like reusable things to avoid putting things in the waste stream. Then in terms of gifts, you know, it's a bit different, you know, haven't seen people, so you want to show that you care. A great way to do that is like gifting an experience, which is a bit also difficult with COVID. You know, you can't be with people in the same way. But there's still options. You know, I've got a couple options such as buying a state parks permit for someone who likes to go hiking, you know, for when the weather's nice. You also can sponsor a meal. So like sending money through like Venmo or other apps, you know, to buy like a locally sourced meal from their favorite restaurant, etc. Or I could teach a skill over video chat, such as like dancing, like how to work out at home or how to knit, you know, all of those things are still capable and you can still do that over video chat and get that kind of interaction. So that's really important. And then if you still would like to gift things, you know, repurposing stuff that you already have. So old calendars, newspapers, the comic section is really fun to wrap gifts in. And again, kind of trying to reduce the things that are going in the waste stream. So repurposing and reusing the things you already have is great options for the holidays. So that's kind of quick rundown through all the possible things you can do for the holidays. And then I guess I just want to throw out there, Kelly and I want to work more with the community groups, with the neighborhood groups. So please help us like promote that we want to attend more neighborhood meetings and groups. So yeah, we really want to do that and hopefully reach more neighborhood groups that we don't have more constant or more direct contact with all of the time. So yeah,
we're looking to host an event with any of the green teams of neighborhood groups too.
Yep.
Just let us know.
Yeah, so that's kind of a quick rundown. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Well, we have a couple minutes left. Does anybody have a favorite tip they want to share or resource or have a question?
Well, actually, so Kyle, you posted about Buy Nothing groups and you are now in my neighborhood. So welcome.
I just got the most beautiful drill set through my Buy Nothing group.
I'm picking up some toys for my 2-year-old niece from someone in a day or two. But for those of you who are not familiar, this is actually part of what we want to do in 2021. Go on Facebook, search Buy Nothing, or actually search Buy Nothing Group. I think it's .org. But there's a list of all of the different groups in Minneapolis. And if your neighborhood does not have one, I encourage you to start one. But it's absolutely incredible the number of things you can trade, exchange, just get for free, give away, to keep all of those materials right within your community. So if you're not signed up for one yet, you should. I've even seen, well, I'm trying to think of the craziest thing. Someone asked for like cat litter pills the other day, and you know, the craziest thing that people really probably don't want, someone asked for because they needed it for something, and just crazy, amazing, awesome things are exchanged, saving all sorts of resources. So if there's my tip, if you haven't already, you should sign up for your local neighborhood Buy Nothing group.
Yeah, it's such a great way to create community too right now. I just think there's such a nice sense of like connecting with neighbors in this generous, supportive way, which we all need more of that right now. I know I do. I only cried once today, but
I will say I did a unique thing this summer with my Cycle Sisters group, which was really fun. We actually go on bike rides, and this year it's been way less than, of course, usual, but we had a social distance bike ride, but everybody brought a bag of clothes that they didn't want anymore. And it could have been kids or adults or whatever. And then we had 2 people that sat and sorted the clothes and like set up kind of like a boutique. And so while we were on our bike ride, it was getting set up. And then when we came back, we could shop. And so, but it was free, you know, like you get to free shop. And so we used the same bags that we brought with to shop with. And it was really cool. I ended up getting like, someone made like sweatpants that were from like the pink brand sweatpants that I wear like every day now. So it's just like it's surprising like what, and then people that thought my stuff was really cool that I just couldn't wait to get rid of, and they just loved it. So it's just like, yeah, and there's so many unique ways to
that's awesome. Cool. Well, and Kelly, you already got an official invite from Waite Park, so you can reach out to Michelle. Well, thank you both. Adriana, welcome to City of Minneapolis, and Kelly, thanks again for all the amazing work that you do for our city.
Oh, I suppose we should also say the annual mailing will be coming annually, you know, so probably mid-January, February, everyone should get their guide in the mail from us again. So keep an eye out for that.
Cool. All right. Well, next up is the amazing Christelle Porter from MN Renewable Now, who's going to be talking about her Soulstar project.
Hello. All right. So I'm actually going to be talking about the Power North project, which is part of the Soulstar is a part of it. And so this is going to be the second year that we've done the Power North program. And I'm sorry that people are texting me right now when I am putting back and forth, one person. All right. So I don't know how to share.
You want to share your screen, Christelle?
Yeah, I'm totally going to share it.
Let me just make you a co-host. Give me a sec to find you here. There you are. Now you can share.
Okay. All right. No, I'm not done, Gilbert. It just started. All right. That's my son. Oh, here we go. Share screen. That's where the button is. It's right in front of my face. All right. And then do I just do Google Chrome whiteboard or?
No, you should. Do you have your presentation up on your desktop?
It's kind of, yeah. Here we go. Can you guys see it right now, or am I supposed to like?
Not yet. Did you hit?
I think you want to double click it.
Okay. Sorry, I've never ever done this before. Share.
Yay.
Okay. Thank you. I am older than I look. Let's just say that. All right. So, wow. So you guys can see this, huh? That's weird. All right.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's just weird because I can't click through to the next one, which is weird. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to do this without. So that sucks. I can't really click on. Can you guys see what's going on with me right now? I'm just gonna stop sharing because I can't click on anything. All right. So
do you want to send me the link to it quick and I can try to share it?
Okay.
You can just paste it in the chat.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Gilbert, can you turn that off real quick, please? Thank you. All right. Copy and all right.
Right.
Sorry. There we go. All right. Should be good now. Do I need to share the document with you now? This is so silly.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why this is doing this to me right now, but it is.
Someone said do something with your arrows. Like, was there, it looked like you just needed to stop highlighting it. I don't know. I'd have to see it on my own computer.
Okay, I'm sharing it with you right now. Kyle Samachima. There she is. All right. You should be able to open it now. All right. I'm just going to start talking because we got to get through this. So Power North project was actually created about a year and a half ago. And we started originally doing this to get folks in North Minneapolis, primarily in the North Green Zone, to start making decisions on how they got their energy. And so it was unbelievable how we were able to get so many people switched over to something in just 1 year, which actually we spent 1 month and we spent another month. We spent 1 month on renewable energy and we spent another month on energy efficiency. And then the first month when we spent that on renewable energy, we were able to get over 80 households to switch over to renewable energy of some sort, whether it was a wind source or community solar. They made a decision to choose one of those. And then we got over 50 households in North Minneapolis to switch or to get an energy efficiency audit and installation. So it was pretty insane how many people we were able to get to switch over. So we're like, this program is so good. And it was kind of a combination of how we designed the program and who we picked as the engagement team. And these were folks that were from North Minneapolis that looked like the community, that were known by people in the community. One of our engagers came from Fowl neighborhood. She was a Black connector. And then we had a really a young, spunky, half Indigenous, half Black young lady who was known by a lot of young people in the community. And just, the team was just so rock solid that that we were able to just get people to listen to us. And pre-COVID, we were able to, people literally just welcomed us into their home. We were sitting on their floor in their living room with their kids and talking about renewable energy. And it was just so amazing. So one of the options that we first offer them is, the very easy, simple, low hanging fruit was wind source. And we're like, hey, you can choose wind source. And this is just a way to tell your electric company that you want your energy to be sourced through wind and instead of coal. And we always call it dirty coal. And so you want to clean up your bill, you don't want your bill to be dirty anymore. And so we kind of use those words. And a lot of people, almost 90, I would say over 95% of the people that we talk to make the switch. And we talk to a lot of people, which is pretty cool. Even in the time of COVID, we are out in front of grocery stores and once a week and on a bus stop once a week. And we get at least about 15 households to switch over to wind source and or get an energy efficiency audit or installation a week in North Minneapolis. So it's been pretty cool. And then go to the next slide. So the next option we offer them, of course, is the energy efficiency audits and installations. And we always token hey, you want some free light bulbs? And then they go, huh, what? I'm like, yeah, you want light bulbs for your whole house? And they're like, yeah, I do. And then we just tell them all the other cool things. Do you ever have, leaks in your front door? You get cold in the winter, or you notice how it's hot by that front door. So we kind of let them know that they can save about $500 a year on their utility bills, whether it's electric or gas. We may let the renters know, you don't really need your landlord's approval. We go in there, we make updates based on, they're not updates to where the landlord's going to be like, oh, I don't want that on my property. A weather stripping is a right, just like putting plastic on your windows in the winter is a right. You have the right to be comfortable, and you have the right to protect your budget. So your bottom line. So that's the next thing that we tell people. And then we also give them the opportunity of community solar, which anyone has a Xcel Energy bill, we let them know, you can choose to be a part owner of a community solar garden. And so we connect with different community solar gardens that are available or are in the process of being built. And then we connect those people to community solar gardens, and we explain to them hey, you can be a part owner of a community solar project. So now you're not only you're not only paying a bill, but you're also selling power to the power company that you've been paying all this time. And that usually gets them to go, what? And you go, yeah, you're gonna make some, what is generated on the roof of that property that community solar garden is, you get to split those credits with those people, and then you can those credits go onto your bill, and sometimes you'll see your bill cut in half. And then we also kind of tell them like, hey, community solar and renewable energy is the energy assistance program. We say that too. So energy assistance is community solar. So a lot of people in North Minneapolis, they apply for the energy assistance program, but some people get denied because they just happen to be in that weird space where they're making a little too much money and they can't get it. But this is an opportunity for them to be able to, cut their bill. And a lot of those people are the ones that actually are very interested in community solar. So it's the lower medium income folks. And then if you want to fast forward all the way up to rooftop solar. And actually, when we were doing the energy efficiency thing, going back to that, we actually had a direct partnership with Home Energy Squad, and we had our own sign up spot online. So they knew which ones were booked by Power North. And it was really funny because I had my energy efficiency installation, and one of the guy that was doing my house was like, so you're the lady that's been signing up all these people. He's like, we have had so many energy efficiency audits this year. And he's like, but I have to say thank you, because you made my job worth it, because I've been going to all these other homes that are like, the houses are like 10 years old and they don't need it. But I've been in North Minneapolis and these homes that need it so bad, that need those updates. He's like, I'm able to actually get in these homes and actually make a difference. So let's forward to the rooftop solar. And then the last option that we give to people is, we ask them, hey, do you live in North Minneapolis? Because we want them to know that we do have this amazing project that we're doing in North Minneapolis right now. And it's actually really unique because only the Red Lake Nation has done this finance model before. And what it is we got a combination of different investors throughout the state of Minnesota to invest in this project. And right now we're a little over 50%, about 60% funded. We're still moving forward with the project. It's a $750,000 project. We're at about 400,000. And what we're doing is we're choosing 24 roofs in North Minneapolis, but they have to be in a 55411 zip code. So first we tell them like, hey, you can have a solar array on your property. Now you're selling your own power to the energy company. And when you're not sharing it like a community solar garden, you are actually seeing your extra bill disappear in some cases, and even getting credit on top of that in some cases. And we don't like to promise people things because it depends on how much kilowatts you're going to be able to fit on your roof. It depends on summer versus winter versus cloudy days versus sunny days. So we let them know but there is an opportunity where you might see your electric bill just kind of disappear depending on how much you're using. And you may even see some incentive coming on top of that, which is super cool. And then what we ask them is, so are you living in 55411? And then we immediately we have them take the survey on our website, and then we send them out an application. We literally book their solar assessment within a few days. And we have, right now, we've got about 11 openings right now. And what we're having problems with is people think it's too good to be true. And so they're like, yeah, I'm good. Like this one lady the other day, she said, I'm good. I already have, I've already connected with the solar company. I'm like, okay, well, how much are you paying for your installation? She's like, oh, well, they quoted me out as about 25, da, da, da. And I was like, so this is free. And all you have to do is pay $100 for a solar assessment. And she's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, all right. Like, well, if you just take some time and go to the MN Renewable Now website and just please check it out. Cause but that's the issue. So if basically, and the people that are listening to this, if you know anybody that owns property in 55411, please let them know that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, very rare. If they want a solar array installed onto their roof at no cost to them, they really have this opportunity, and so I wish they would just please take it. So, and we're spending the summer or we're spending over the winter just getting all of those solar rewards applications in, because we're doing it all at one time. I'm responsible for that. And then of course bulk buying all of the materials and supplies, which brings down the cost and stuff like that. So
So if people have further questions, do you want to put your email?
Yes.
In the chat? And then Peggy asked about the zip code.
The reason why, what did it say?
55411 rather than 55401.
Yes. Oh, okay, downtown. Well, I mean, so the whole point of it is, so we're addressing racial equity through renewable energy. So the reason why we chose 55411 is they have a very high concentration of poverty, and combined with the most dense African American populated neighborhood in Minnesota. And so we're addressing that first. It is in a green zone, the Minneapolis green zone. So we are piloting the project in 55411 right now, and then we're hoping that once we get that one done, we'll be able to open it up to the whole north side. And then a lot of people had asked me, bring it over to East St. Paul, bring it over here, bring it over there. And really, the reality is I'd like to just sit down with another nonprofit and tell them about our finance model and have other people just know how to do it. Right. Because we're not going to be able to do everything for everyone. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Christelle, so much. You put your email in the chat for people to reach out. And then I think it's myself on the agenda next. Yeah, I'll just be really brief and share my screen quick. Christelle and I end up collaborating, scheming together, and hopefully this community solar is another area we'll be doing that. But I'm just going to tell you quickly about a community solar program that Minneapolis Climate Action is working on. And so just quick about Minneapolis Climate Action, besides doing the green teams, we work on renewable energy, zero waste, and environmental justice organizing. And we are launching our first community solar garden in south, kind of Kevin Reich's ward. Which ward is that? It's over off of Hennepin in southeast Minneapolis. And
Ward 1.
Ward 1, thank you, Lee. It'll be on top of the Emerge Second Chance recycling facility. I won't show you the video, but there's it was so exciting. It was like, whoops, I didn't even share my screen yet, did I? I'm like talking and talking, I didn't share my screen. So that was the birth of the panels on top of the Emerge Second Chance recycling facility. And so they are one of our oops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. All right, the Second Chance Community Solar Garden is reality. We will be online. Sorry, it wouldn't let me stop and now it's just moving all by itself. This is fun. I must have, sorry, just give me 1 second here. I was doing this with 2 monitors and then there we go. So our partners in this community solar garden are Jamez Staples, who's third from the left here. And he will be, he's our developer. And he's also opening an energy efficiency and kind of green jobs training center up in North Minneapolis, finally. Our installer is JT, who owns Solar S3, Solar Services Solutions. And he's our installer on this project. Emerge is also it's a mattress recycling factory where all the mattresses in the city go. And they also employ formerly incarcerated people and do job training. So they're a wonderful partner for us. It's just a focus on equity kind of at all measures of this project. Emerge will also get free electricity. And I'll kind of go through how it'll work a little bit. I'm making this really brief. I just want to, this is just a chance for organizations like Christelle's and mine to show like what's happening in the community around solar and renewable. And we also have some Roosevelt High School students here who are interested in learning about community solar. So super excited about that. And basically the community solar piece is like buying a share in a farm. You don't have the panels on your roof. You don't pay to put them in. Basically, you either pay up front or you pay as you go, and you get to kind of get a credit on your bill while using renewable energy. So they're basically centrally located. That electricity is measured as it goes into the grid, and you get a credit on your bill for your share. And it's available whether you rent or own your home. It's available regardless of credit score or income, which is often not the case, as Alice was talking about with a lot of renewable energy programs. It's reliant on a credit score and income level, and this will not be. And so we really do look at it as a democratization of renewable energy, which is just super critical right now in our energy infrastructure, as Alice was talking about. This, if we kind of have this energy revolution and all the renewables go back into the hands of monopoly companies like Xcel that pay shareholders, I think we have failed. So hopefully we can get more programs like Christelle's doing, like we're doing, in the hands of our community members. So super excited about this. So really simply, the solar PV panels are installed on a big roof. For us, it's the Emerge mattress recycling facility. You can subscribe up to 120% of your annual electricity usage, and we'll help people figure out how much that is. And then you are credited according to your share in the garden on your bill each month. And the amount of electricity you use each year helps you decide how much solar to get. And I won't go too much into that right now, but there's a process to go through so people can figure out like what is best for me. You don't have to worry about every detail. That's me pulling my hair out. So you would be, in this picture, you would be a subscriber, unless you're someone like, Jamez. Emerge is our host site. Installer is JT and S3. Outreach Partners is Minneapolis Climate Action. And we'll also be the garden manager. And it's such a, why community solar? I mean, it's such a powerful tool to address climate change, but also racial equity and poverty. As we know right now, more people are spending time at home. Their utility bills are going up because they're spending more time at home, and lower income people spend a larger proportion of their income on keeping their homes comfortable. Even, if they even have the opportunity to make them more comfortable through energy efficiency retrofits, which, again, is that other issue that Alice was talking about. And it's really about, again, creating local ownership of energy. I mean, there's great intersection between what's happening with the integrated resource plan with Xcel, with what inclusive financing, with what Christelle's doing up in North Minneapolis, where homeowners up there get to have the benefit, not just Xcel Energy. And the energy grid is less susceptible to disruption, which we'll be dealing with more and more as the planet heats and people need to stay cooler, and just, chances of, cyber attacks, et cetera. So again, our partners are Renewable Energy Partners, which is just Jamez Staples' company based out of North Minneapolis, and Emerge, which we're really super proud to just partner with Emerge and be able to provide a benefit to that amazing nonprofit that is serving formerly incarcerated people. And our installer. We're also, Christelle and I are both, MN Renewable Now and Minneapolis Climate Action are both, as well as Community Power, members of the Just Solar Coalition, which is a great group of people who are working to make sure that this energy transition is fair and equitable and prioritizes equity, you know, in all areas of it. So we're doing some good work on that front as well. Minnesota is a leader in community solar, but there's so much work to be done on the policy level to make sure that Xcel does not try to monopolize the solar transition. So that's something to keep an eye on, and that we keep an eye on policy-wise as well. And that was just a little bit, again, about Emerge. I think they just, I don't know if Kelly's still here, but they think they just recycled their 500,000th mattress or something.
They did in November.
Right. Cool.
Not all 500,000 of them have been recycled. They have received 500,000.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
About 92, 93% of them were able to be recycled, I believe.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And now they're going to get some free electricity to recycle renewable electricity to recycle all those mattresses. A little bit of details. It's 180 for people who, you know what this even means, which, you know, if you don't, that's normal. If you do, great. It'll be 100, and it's actually about 188 kilowatts, not kilowatt hours. It's a kilowatts, that should say. Emerge is our host site. We'll be doing pay up front subscriptions, which are $950 a kilowatt share, which is down from about $1,600 about 4 years ago because the panels have gotten more efficient and smaller. But we're also providing pay-as-you-go subscriptions with a zero upfront cost and access regardless of income or credit score. So again, it's a way to, even if you do the pay-as-you-go option, which I realize I have a typo on there, it should say pay-as-you-go, you still end up with a credit on your bill, even though you're paying for your share over, stretched out over all your utility bills. And the subscriptions move with you if you change residence, as long as you still have an Xcel bill. And we will always work with people to sell their subscription to another subscriber, to the developer, or, you know, so that people don't feel like, you know, they're locked into something that may not work for them for 25 years. So I think that was all I had.
Kyle?
Yeah.
What was the name of that company that did the mattress recycling?
Emerge Second Chance Recycling Facility. Yeah. So someone asked about, yes, Jamez Staples training facility in North Minneapolis is finally getting traction and opening. I mean, and that's so needed. You know, now people don't have to travel to St. Michael or really far to go get training for all this energy efficiency that we're going to need to be doing, you know, energy efficiency work. So that is awesome. I will paste a link in, and Christelle, we need to talk about, you know, outreach.
Yeah, because I'm ready to send people to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Credit. Anyway, we'll talk about that, but we should partner so we all benefit from this.
Yes. Oh, also, by the way, you guys, real quick, MN Renewable Now is doing training for installers, because a lot of people don't know that installation doesn't necessarily mean you have to have experience in electrical work. As long as you know how to get up on a roof and use tools up there, which is very scary for most people. But one way we've figured out a way to address Indigenous and BIPOC workers and increase their salaries by giving them the training and tools that they need to be able to know how to install the panels onto the roof, and then drape down those wires down for the electrician to hook that, do the hard wiring and the hookup. But you don't have to have any electrical training to be able to actually get them onto the roof. So we are actually partnered with a roofing company in North Minneapolis and training the roofers how to install solar panels on roofs as well. So, you know, there's so many ways to address this issue, and like, and Kyle actually, the team that they're working with the electrician that they're working with, it's kind of interesting because she's working with JT, we're working with JT, a lot of people are working with JT because there's not many Black electricians, you know, and then we also work with Willie Roller, who was the first union Black electrician to ever exist in Minnesota. And there's like none, you know, and they're more apt to hire Black installers. And so we're trying to, and just like Kyle said, we're trying to address equity on every level with these projects, like making sure that we're hiring people that are in the community. And if they don't have the full training, hey, if a roofer is not afraid to get on a roof and use tools at the same time, then we can't teach a person to not be afraid of the heights. So if we already know people that can play football on a roof, well, let's just teach them how to put, you know, solar panels on the roof as well while they're up there. So
cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. So let's see. We've got 25 minutes left. I'm going to do like a couple deep breaths just because we've been sitting for a couple hours. One of my favorite things to do is pat up the outside of my arm and down the inside just to kind of get myself, like, my blood moving again, because we're going to like turn to stone in front of these computers. Anyway, so thanks for being here in front of a computer. So we've got John Benda and then Michelle Shaw. So we'll take 10 minutes each for those, and then hopefully have a couple minutes.
John Benda left.
He's back.
I had to talk to my 94-year-old mom. We talk every night, so she's
Right.
a priority. I'm sorry.
That is okay. So John's going to talk a little bit, and we're going to, John, you'll have 10 minutes, and then Michelle, 10 minutes for Upper Harbor Terminal, and take it away, John.
Okay, and I might not need that much. I was thinking how to just do this because I just want to offer some things to go look up after our meeting and watch or read. But since we're all talking about solar and all that at this point, brief history that I've been through with solar, and it'll lead into what I wanted to share tonight. 4 years ago, my folks moved out of the house that I owned and they shared with me in their 90s, and I tore it down in South Minneapolis. And I built a small house, and right before I built it, I was going to do community solar that they were going to do on top of the Linden Hills Co-op, and it fell through. It was one of the first plans to try to do it in the city, but it didn't work. I was about to give up, and I talked to somebody and they said, why don't you throw your name in the solar lottery with Made in Minnesota, which is now closed. But I threw it in and I forgot about it. And then 5 months later, I got a notice, you won this solar rebate program with the state. If you buy in Minnesota your panels, you pay to put them up. We will pay you for 10 years, 23 cents a watt. And Excel will pay you 7 cents for whatever you give back to them. And so I readjusted my house design, which is very small. And I made it so that it faces south so I could fill the whole back roof with solar panels. Now I did that. It's a 10 kilowatt system. It's 34 panels. They cost me way too much. I've had 10 replaced already that broke. And that was done very, very well by All Energy Solar, which is local, and I'm not pitching them, but they did a good job doing it with very easily for me. They took the old ones, put up the new ones. It didn't cost me anything. Except their work. So what's evolved since then for me, that it may tie into what you were talking about, Crystal, a little bit, is I keep track of how this evolves because I paid pretty high dollar for mine, but it's all paid back in 10 years with these rebates. It is successfully doing that. I also got the 30% federal tax rebate on them. So I still owe quite a bit, but I'm about halfway there in about 4 years. Here's the problem. Tesla just put out their 3rd generation solar shingle. I could do my whole roof for a third less tomorrow. And they train their installers. So Crystal, if you want to call Tesla and say, you want to train some of our guys, that's the wave of the future. Every home is going to be not panels, they're going to be roofed with this stuff for 50-year guarantees for roofing. And now this is all their third round. They tried 2 rounds that didn't work as well until they started training their own installers. They figured out a better way to connect the panels. Now, with that said, you know, I'm glad I did it. Now this leads into why I wanted to talk tonight. So the other day I'm on the internet and I'm watching YouTube, and all of a sudden I stumble on, and you've probably seen it, some of you, Jonathan Scott has something called Power Trip. So I'm watching Power Trip, and that's the latest national update on what the conflicts are between energy companies and solar. I thought he did a fabulous job. Talked to the farmers, the Navajo community that established their own utilities this way, the Nevada energy company that fought against the solar, and then including Warren Buffett, who had part ownership in the energy company. Nevada residents fought back, and they got the governor, a Republican, to change his mind. He said, okay, we're going to support solar. So the show, if you haven't seen it, is all about the conflicts that are going on as solar gets more popular. And it wasn't very popular when I started. Now it is. I had a pretty easy time hooking up with Excel. They're paying me what they're supposed to. The state's paying me. All that has been slowing down now. And All Energy has told me that they get held up sometimes now by the energy company. So I just wanted you to know that that is a very informative national view of what the conflicts are between the energy companies and the installers and the public that really wants this to happen. And he does a beautiful job of it, and he's a very human guy. He's one of the 2 guys who go and restore houses and stuff. He's been on TV for a long time. So it's Jonathan Scott, and it's called Power Trip on YouTube. It's a PBS independent Lens series video. You can also find it on PBS if you go to their website.
I shared the link in the chat, John.
Yeah, thank you. And the other thing I just came across the last couple of days, and you guys are probably way ahead of me. I stumbled on David Attenborough's recent book, Life of the Planet. And David Attenborough, if you know who he was, I think his brother was Richard Attenborough, who did the Gandhi movie years ago. And David's he's 94 as well, but very vibrant. And he's been a world naturalist photographer his whole life. And he just put out a book. And as you're talking about times and dates and Excel in 15 years, he's really upset, and he's really smart. And he's got this wonderful footage on YouTube. One of them, he's at like Wembley Stadium in London, and 100,000 people under 25 showed up like he's a rock star, cheering this 84-year-old guy doing a video. And he said, one of our hopes really is young people, because they're all over this, even if the politicians aren't doing it. But if you go on YouTube, just plug in David Attenborough, there's so many good videos, and he's so engaging. And his new book, I think, is called Life of the Planet, and he doesn't think we have 15 years. And he's been going up to the glaciers and going and looking at the animals and the species, the extinctions. He's been doing this his whole life. And he said, he's got a feel for the whole world. And he said, we won't blow it up in 15 years, but if we don't get going like tomorrow, it's just continually going to be more difficult to catch up. And so he's not hopeless about it. And he's got some real practical application stuff. But you might, if you haven't stumbled upon him, he's really good. So that's all I wanted to just share, that those are out there to look at, and they're good.
Thank you, John. Yeah.
Thank you.
Got some, hoorays for the other things you mentioned as well. All right, well, let's jump to Michelle Shaw with an Upper Harbor Terminal update and some Line 3 stuff, and I will throw a couple links in the chat as well.
Yeah, I've got 5 minutes to talk about 2 gigantic topics. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get things going here. I'm hoping people can see this. So I've got the draft coordinated plan here for Upper Harbor Terminal. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure you all do, but the last year, or I guess maybe the last 8 months or so, 7 or 8 months, we've had a group of people called the Collaborative Planning Committee that's been working on coming up with a plan for this North Minneapolis development site. And at this point, they have a plan. You can go to it here. And I think Kyle is probably putting that into the chat. So right now it is open for comments. You can see the timeline here, and where they have comments, it is not really clear that this is where they're taking public comments. So down here where it says take the draft plan survey, that is the public comments section. So if you want to leave your comments, and I urge everyone to do that, this is the area to do that in. I guess for me, being a part of the Community Environmental Advisory Commission, and we've brought everybody in from all the different partners, the developers, people who live on the north side, the group that was originally the co-creation team and now Eco Harbor team. Just the fact that we still have the community performing arts center in there, especially now with everything that's going on with COVID, people getting evicted, people dying, people suffering, 1 out of 8, if not more, suffering from hunger right now. I'm just really frustrated is like not even the right word that, that is still in there. So that'll definitely be one of my main concerns that I am writing about. I am also on the, I have not been on this committee, but I have been on the park board committee. We have not met for months about Upper Harbor Terminal. Our last meeting was about systemic racism back in September. It was a very frustrating meeting. The park board staff did not bring in somebody that was trained in how to facilitate that kind of a meeting. And we have not had a follow-up meeting since then on anything. There are a few of us on that committee that do not want the park to move ahead at this time. There are a number of reasons for that, things that came up during that systemic racism talk. Also the fact that the city and the park board have no plan as far as transit goes. So there's no way to get people who live on the north side to this park. There is no safe way to get kids and families there who are walking because people don't live next to this park. So really this is a destination park, for people who are driving there to go to all this development. So who is this park for? It's not for the people who live on the north side. Who should the park be for? The people who live on the north side. So our recommendations are that this should be paused until those things are in place so that our tax dollars are not going to pay for private development to have this park, but our tax dollars are going for the north side people to have this park. So that's just something that's really important to us, in addition to the fact that Native people have not been included in these discussions. And we also believe that it's important not only to have them at the table, but to have them leading these discussions with us. We had an elder, Sheldon Wolfchild, who was at one of our last meetings. we really want him to be involved in this going forward. And some of the things that we've heard from him and a couple other people who are Dakota, that, you know, this shouldn't even be built, that the land should be going back to the Dakota. So thinking about that and reparations and how we can really be, you know, good stewards of the land. So there are a lot more conversations to be had, but if you would like to go to our meeting, it'd be great to have you December 17th from 6 to 8. That is the Park Board Upper Harbor Terminal Community Advisory Committee meeting. So, and then moving on to line 3, that is up in northern Minnesota. Christine is an active part of that with me. We're on the MN 350 team and also on a team called Rights of Nature or Rights of Mississippi. And we are trying to get legal legislation so that things like that cannot happen and cannot poison our Mississippi River. And so let me go ahead and put this up. Oh, shoot. So I'm just going to play this video and while I'm talking so you can see what's taking place in the background there. But this is my friend Gaga Yashik, and this is this morning up in Palisade. So the pipeline was approved for good, all the permits and everything by our governor and all of the state agencies. The governor just pushed everything on through last week. So now our Mississippi River is going to have the pipeline dug underneath it. And that's where she is at right now. They've been there every day since it started last Thursday or Friday. And these wood slats that you see behind her, they are going underneath the equipment because the equipment is so heavy that it will sink into the ground if it doesn't have these wood slats underneath it. And so last Friday, Gaga Giyashik stopped the construction from continuing by going and sitting in front of one of these gigantic, I don't know what it's called, but it clears all of the trees. And this equipment is just huge. And I don't know if we'll see the video kind of move to any of that equipment, but you know, they're clearing all of these trees and going right to, yeah, there you can see a little bit of it, but clearing our forests, and the pipeline will cross 218 bodies of water. And how will this affect us? I mean, it should affect us because this is Minnesota. These are our people. These are our, you know, our animals, our plants, our land, but our water too, you know, Mississippi flows. So all of this is coming to us. And it's just heartbreaking seeing what's happening. And on Friday, when the sheriff was there, Gaga Giyashik was yelling, treaties are the supreme law of the land. And they are, and they should be. Nobody recognizes that. And we need everybody to be educating themselves about treaties and educating others. And in our group Rights in Mississippi right now, we're educating ourselves about the Treaty of 1855. And so that's something I would encourage other people to be reading up on, because the Treaty of 1855 and line 3, those are two things that go together. And I will put a link in the chat for people to do some research on that. I also just want to put a couple other things up here as far as what you can do to help. So MN 350 has a frontline fund. And so right here, you can see you can donate some money, and that money will go to things like what they really need right now, what my friend Nancy and Gaga Yashik were talking last week. and they'd really like to have some money for cars that break down. Having a car up there is really a luxury. It's something that a lot of us take for granted. And so that's something that would be really helpful if anyone is able to donate to the Frontline Fund. And so this is, I'll try and copy this, or Kyle, I don't know if you see it and you're able to copy it too, but that would be really helpful because there's two ways to get to this, and I wanted to make sure that the money would go directly to this. And then the other thing I want to show you is, or actually, let's see. Actually, I guess I'll just talk about it. The other thing is that they need warm gear. And so things like sleeping bags and boots and really warm jackets and things. And so if you have any of those things to donate, and I can send out a list that I have, I'll send that to Kyle, because I know Kyle's really good about following up with us the day after our meetings or a couple days after our meetings. And Gaga Giyashi was talking to me a couple days ago about some really warm sleeping bags she was looking into for camping out next to the pipeline route. So, so that would be really helpful. And I will put in, there's a woman named Bernadette, and she is in charge of collecting things. So I will put her email address in the chat as well. But I know that was kind of a lot of information, but that's what I've got to say about the pipeline. And
thanks, Michelle, for all that info. I know these are, you know, line 3 is a super intense info. Do you want to stop sharing?
Oh,
your screen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's a super intense issue and really emotional. And Governor Walz needs to hear from us loud and clear. But I do want to see if anybody, any of our neighbors on the call still have, we have a couple minutes. And if anybody has any questions or updates about neighborhood stuff going on, would love to hear from people who weren't on the official agenda. And if you've, yeah. If you've already.
It'd be great to hear from some of the students if you guys want to share about what you're up to.
You up for that, Sophia? Or...
Sure. Hi, my name's Sophia. Yeah, I go to Roosevelt High School, and for the last couple of years, we're the green team. We've been trying to get solar panels on our rooftop. And yeah, it's been kind of a, like, I haven't been too involved with it. We're like working on different things, but we're looking into our options. We just emailed like the Minneapolis public schools like rooftop inspector, I believe, who said that our rooftop is due for like it's not structurally sound and needs to be redone. So we're kind of trying to explore our options and figure out what we can do to hopefully get Roosevelt to be using more renewable energy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know we've been in conversation with your green team with Carrie Ann and, you know, over the last year or so. And I think there is momentum at the Minneapolis Public Schools, Sophie. And I think it's so important that the students like keep advocating, keep using their voice. I mean, there are solar panels going up on North High School as we speak, which is awesome too. Anything else you're working on with your green team?
That's really cool. I hadn't heard that about North High School.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe if they have a green team there, we can contact them. But also are working on putting composting into our lunchroom, which was something we were working on and we're about to implement before COVID sent us all home. And then also we've been working with the Minneapolis Public Schools to implement plant-based food options during lunch, which was also going to be run for like a trial period after spring break, which was right again after COVID came, which was going to be happening this year, like in our school. So hopefully we can get that going again after COVID ends. And yeah.
You know, we'd love to have you guys be regulars at the Green Teams meeting and let us know what you're up to and what you're working on, and if there are ways we can support the things that you're doing, because I know we've all got resources, you know, and then you guys have your amazing advocacy, organizing, and using your voice skills as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll attend, hopefully try and attend in the future too. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, my daughter's on the South High Green Team, and they've been working on so. And the good news is that the Minneapolis schools we're getting requests for proposals from different solar developers, because they have a number like another 40 properties they could put solar on. So it would be great to get together so we can meet directly with the facility staff with Minneapolis schools.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and I believe I said Wednesday, but I think, yeah, I had the date mistaken. Probably be Friday.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it is 8:30. I will be sending out a recording of the meeting and minutes. I know it's a lot of information, and there's a lot going on. And so, you know, I would just say, pick the issues that resonate with you and do whatever you can beyond what you're already doing. We always want to hear about ways the Green Teams meetings can be even like more valuable, more relevant, more useful. So please reach out to me. I'll put my email in there. Love to hear from you about how these can even be more useful. We were having a neighborhood host each one before, which was really great to get into the different neighborhoods around the city. That's actually how I met Christelle. And someday we'll get back to that, but for now, you know, it's online. And so we thank you for being here and for everything that you do. Oh, and yeah, low salt diet for your sidewalks coming up with the snow. Kelly Kish just put that in the chat. Anyway, well, please reach out anytime. Thank you again for being here. And let's make our city the best it can be. South High School did stop by and we talked about plant-based meals. All right, awesome.
Yay.
All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Kyle.
Fight, green soldiers. Love you all.
Thanks, Christelle. See you all.
Bye.